watch the economy getting ready to go up. Watch the people gonna start jumping out of windows, jumping off of bridges, taking mugstage. They gonna go crazy because they money up.
Why is gas $5 a gallon? And like, why do I have to pay rent? And why is rent so high? And why do I have to drive my car and get the gas that I have to get to go to the job that I have to pay for rent? Why do I have to do all of that stuff? I've been stressed out! I'm being stressed! We should not be working like this. I work my ass off and I can't even pay bills, bro. And they always say, don't compare yourself to others. But I see people going to Coachella and fucking like buying all types of shit, just pointless new money. And I'm over here can't even pay my rent, bro.
Hey, are prices getting too high? Oh, wow. They're getting too high for Black people, too. Is rent starting to feel like a practical joke? Same for Black people. Hey, white people. Are grocery prices making you think that you need to start your own farm in the backyard just to have food for the winter? Oh, wow. Black people are feeling the same thing. The rich folks and their corporations do that to us because most of them do not really care or even truly understand what happens to us when they grab all that money. They just know that if Black people and white people are fighting each other, they're not fighting them. Think of it this way. It's like we're playing a football game, but we're competing against the other half of our own team and thinking that that somehow will make us win. All the while ignoring the other team. And they get to do whatever they want because we are distracted. It's pretty clear who wins in that scenario, isn't it? And it's sure not our team. But if our team, of all of us who are in the same boat, black, white, brown, any other color, what a difference we could make. I have an idea. Since we're all in the same boat, why don't we team up and row it together so we can go the same direction? We can unite and work together to fight the real problem instead of each other. One of us alone cannot fight the rich guys with all their money. Well, with all our money. But if all of us can get on the same team and fight the right enemy, we can. All these boycotts that keep coming up, participate in them. You know, I'm not an expert, just a learner. Join me. Use my name followed by .art to see more about me or help me do this work. Get curious.
I'm sorry, but boomers ruined the economy for us. Boomers will say, just work hard and you'll be able to buy a house. When they bought a house, it was $40,000. College was cheap, rent was cheap, groceries were even cheaper. Now rent is like $1,800 for a studio apartment, but somehow we're just magically supposed to save money. Like, genuinely, how are we supposed to get ahead in this economy? Back then, you could support a family on one income. You could buy a house working at Sears full-time. But now that just seems so unattainable. Budgeting in America in 2026 is basically survival at this point. You literally have to have a budget. You literally have to know where every single dollar of your money is going. This year I started using the Mine app and forced myself to make a budget because I literally was having no money left over after rent and groceries and other bills, stressing me out so much. Do I have a ton left over now? No, but I at least know where it's going. If you're struggling in 2026, I promise you, you are not alone.
Trump is already pushing the value of the dollar down. The value of the dollar.
How so?
Trump wants a weak dollar because it makes it cheaper to buy U.S. goods. So Trump has been doing all of these things to try to get people focused on Bitcoin and all of these other things. And also his tariffs are making the dollar go down in value, which for Americans, if you sell stuff, it's good because if the dollar is lower, it's cheaper to buy American stuff, right? If the dollar's worth less, you can actually buy more stuff. And so Trump thinks that's going to produce this big industrial trade. It's not doing that. All that's happening is the tariffs are pissing people off, causing people to say, fuck you, we're out of here, we don't want to deal with you at all. We may actually want to just start selling stuff in Chinese yuan. And that's the big risk. China is playing a long game. They've been around for thousands of years, honey. We've been around for 250. They're like, go ahead, little baby, go ahead and keep playing with us, toddler. We're going to sit back in our Chinese Confucius way and wait for y'all empire to fall.
That's what.
A 3-mile radius from Cambridge to Roxbury, median household income drops by $50,000. Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, Federal Reserve of Boston put out a color of wealth report, which cites that the average wealth for a Black Boston family is $8, whereas for a white family, it is $250,000. Black Americans in this country have been systematically stripped of our wealth. First, there was nearly 250 years of enslavement, followed by a century of Jim Crow, segregation, economic exploitation, state-sanctioned violence. And to this day, Black Americans are still being excluded from and facing barriers to public programs that promote home ownership and higher education, along with discriminatory home appraisals, persistent redlining. But myself and Senator Cory Booker have introduced the American Opportunity Accounts Act. If passed into law, this would represent the most ambitious federal effort to directly address wealth inequality. At birth, every child would receive $1,000 in a savings account managed by the Treasury Department. Children from low-income families receive deposits every year, and once they reach the age of 18, they can use the funds they have saved for specific purchases. I do see baby bonds as the kind of investments that will break cycles of generational poverty and systemic economic oppression and put us one step towards closing the racial wealth gap.
Y'all want to know one real reason why America's crashing out like crazy right now? Mediocrity don't hit like it used to, baby. See, once upon a time in America, you could be real mid and still thrive. Mediocre effort, boom, you get a house, car, annual vacation, pension, hell, maybe even a boat. You could clock in, coast through the week, grill on Sundays, and still retire with dignity. But that era is dead and gone, baby. And instead of leveling up or adapting, they're mad, they're bitter, and they're not even blaming the billionaires. They blaming you. They have the audacity to blame me. They blaming immigrants, Black people, queer folk, anyone they think is taking something that used to be theirs by default. See, they don't want equality. They want comfort. And when mediocrity no longer gets them that comfort, they start rewriting the rules to rig the game again. It ain't about fairness. It's about preserving the lie. The lie that being average should still be enough for them.
You know, I'll never forget the day a white buddy of mine said Black people don't deserve equality because they could never get enough. And that's true. White people are actually scared of equality. That's just how racist we are as a people. And it's not just that one person. White culture in general. Probably I would say most white people, when they hear the word equality, they fear that white people will be oppressed because brown, Black, and indigenous people might actually get what's fair and just. That's just how racist we are. And we're so obsessed with the idea of not having equality in America for Black, brown, and indigenous people that we don't have health care, that we don't have economic equality. We don't have reasonable gun laws. Our liberties are being stripped because we have a fascist, racist, white supremacist regime in office because we are so scared of equality. We're so scared that Black and brown folks might become the majority one day. That we had a Black president and now we've got to have a white supremacist president. That's how scared we are of equality. That's how racist we are as a people. Go to the fucking root. The root of America's problems. The root of the white man and the white woman, their problems, and America and the world. If you think about it, colonialization, white supremacy, the mentality of white people today, not just yesterday, today, right now, the denial, racially, the silence, the apathy, the continuous gaslighting, all that fucking shit. That's ruined us. It's ruined white people, and it's ruining our nation. And whose fault is it? White people's fault. Their inability to fucking fix their goddamn problem. Until we fix white supremacy, everything we try will fail. It's dysfunctional and it's toxic, and Trump and this regime is the perfect proof of all that shit. How we got in this fucking mess? White people's bullshit. White people's racist fucking bullshit. Period.
Every economic problem that we're facing in this country right now, student loan debt being just out of control, the government shutdown, SNAP benefits being cut, health insurance premiums about to go through the roof, your rent going up, your pay stagnating, groceries just being astronomical, is because reparations were never paid after the Civil War. Let me explain. After the Civil War, the Union, the North won and the South was defeated, but the South was never punished. The Confederacy lived on in the ideology of the people, of the white people of the South. Reparations were never paid to Black Americans. They were never really, truly given the opportunity to pick themselves up by their bootstraps, to rise up and become equal members of this country, equal citizens. They've been fighting for their equality since then. They've never actually truly achieved it. So when white people hear a promise from Donald Trump et al. That we're gonna run the country like a business, to them that sounds appealing. They're like, oh yeah, because you know what? I'm a business owner. I own this country because I'm white. When Black and brown people hear, well, we're going to run the country, run the government like a business, they understand what that means because they've been dealing with it for centuries. White people think that they are on the side of the owners, the masters, but they're not. Most white people have more in common with the Black and brown people that they look down upon. They are closer to them in the economic tax bracket than they are to the white billionaires whose asses they kiss. But listen to them glazing billionaires, especially on this app. I make $50,000 a year, but I have more in common with Jeff Bezos than I do with George Floyd. Bullshit! The only reason the lie of let's run this country like a business appealed to you is because you thought you would benefit. And now here you are. Now here you are understanding that when they say we're going to run this country like a business, that means they're going to profit off of your ass. That means that if you take $100,000 loan out to go to college, you will be in debt to the federal government until the day you fucking die. You borrowed 100 grand, prepare to repay 300 grand because they're running the government like a business now. And guess what? You're a customer, not an owner. The government exists to serve us, not to profit off of us. And we will continue to have these problems until y'all get your fucking minds right.
America got played, y'all. Oh my God. I'm a political analyst. Let's talk about what I'm seeing right now. Let's give you some context. So in the 1970s, we made a deal with Saudi after we got out of the Vietnam War because we were broke as fuck. The USA was broke as fuck. We went with Saudi and we were like, hey, we'll protect you military-wise if you sell your oil in US dollars only, right? Now, that happened. They agreed to it, whatever. It was a sweet deal on the Saudis' part, if you ask me. Now, what happens? The whole world needs dollars. We all need to get dollars somehow. So they start buying American debt, which is what America wanted. So they start buying American bonds. And now they have American dollars that they can buy oil with, right? So they're using American bonds to buy oil. Now, since we're using these American bonds to buy oil, we might as well just use the dollars to buy everything, honestly. We should just use it to export, import, trade this, trade that. We should just use the dollars for the basis of everything. And you understand how we have a Federal Reserve with gold in it? They have a Federal Reserve with American bonds in it because American dollars are a reserve currency. American dollars are gold because they're tied to liquid oil, which is liquid gold, in my opinion. So what this means is that everybody in the world is tied to the US dollar, and the US dollar is in the US is specifically tied to Saudi. And Obama realized when he was president that Saudi had the upper hand in this deal because they could really just tell us that we weren't protecting them and that we're gonna have to go after Iran or they're gonna leave the deal. And he realized that, so he was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. He turned around and he was like, hey Iran, let's make a deal. You could do whatever the fuck you want. Don't make no more new of it, and then we're gonna take off your sanctions and we're gonna have people come in and inspect it. But that's about it. We cool, you cool, we cool. Why, you may ask? Because Iran is now allowed to become an economic powerhouse. They are allowed to trade. Investors and multinational corporations are looking at Iran, and they're making plans to have economic infrastructure move into Iran. Saudi and Izzy hated that deal so much that Benny came to Congress in 2015, which was unheard of, a foreign leader coming to Congress to lobby against another foreign country. Unheard of, almost like first of its kind. Why do they hate that deal, specifically Saudi? Because, number one, American monopolies would not be stuck under Saudi's thumb. If Iran becomes an economic powerhouse, we can make partnerships and we can diversify who we buy oil from and how oil is sold throughout the world. Number two, Saudi cannot justify all the proxy wars that it is committing across the Middle East, such as in Yemen and Syria, any longer to American leaders. But that never really happens because homeboy gets in the office, he rips up the deal, the lobbying works. And then all of a sudden, towers and golf courses are going up. And then someone's son-in-law receives $2 billion payment in 2022. Let's explain how this is a win-win for Saudi anyways. Now that Saudi has gotten the Iranian deal ripped up, which was its first hump, it was like, yes, this is the easy part. It has already been engaged with BRICS, who are talking about leaving the US dollar because of how the US dollar has been weaponized throughout history, and we'll get into that in a second. Not only that, Saudi has allowed China to buy oil using yen, meaning that a different currency could be on its way to be the backing of the world. Now let's explain how this is a lose-lose, because Saudi's going to keep its beneficiaries. People are going to keep buying oil from there. It doesn't matter what currency it gets sold in. It just needs to get sold. That's all Saudi cares about, and being protected. That's all they care about. They're really big on their self-interest, I'll tell you that. Number one, America has been weaponizing that dollar. We're back to it, right? America, I think maybe 2 years ago, last year, froze $200 million in Russian assets just because they felt like it. They can freeze your money. They can put taxes on your money. They can say that we're not accepting your money because everything is based off the American dollar. Meaning, there's going to be no one that stands up for us to buy our debt. If they don't need American dollars to run the world, they won't buy our debt, y'all. That means we, as citizens, have to foot the bill. However, this is a win for the rich. It's not a win for you and I, but for the wealthy. And that is because when they start taxing us through inflation, that money pours straight into assets, and your wage never reflects that. So that $200,000 house is a $400,000 house, and your $60,000 check is still a $60,000 check. Have a great day.
I really feel like the American culture has never been worse. And like, I'm not trying to be anti-American when I say that, but I just think as like a factual statement, like our culture is trash right now. We're in a complete cultural depression. Like, most people don't have enough money, and then somehow a small percentage of people wind up with like all the money, and they look at the people without the money and go like, you guys suck. And people without the money look up at them and are just like, yeah, it sucks. Like, well, yeah, you suck. What? The government doesn't seem to care at all about the people. They seem to like having them upset at each other. The people hate the government. The people hate the people. All the different religions are like, we're the best religion. No, we're the best religion. We should kill each other over it. Men hate women. Fat people hate skinny people. The food is garbage. It's just a bunch of chemical slop that's given to children that's just like, eat up, kids. We'll see you at the doctor. Which, by the way, is going to impoverish you. The art is trash. All the music is auto-tune. The comedy is just literally anybody who wants to going up on a stage and being like, what do you do for work? Oh, you're an accountant? The movies are 2.5 hours of a message that could be 60 minutes where they're just unnecessarily cramming in some political statement so they can get a standing ovation at an award ceremony. There's nothing good about it. I'm really not trying to be anti-American. but it's just the reality of the situation. Our culture is just a bunch of angry, sick people screaming at each other with absolutely no artistic flourishment whatsoever. Welcome to America.
If anyone out there is wondering how Americans are doing poorly, we are doing poorly.
Yeah, that's not true. Here's why. The American economy is actually crushing the entire planet. You guys have the highest GDP per capita in the G7. My country, where I'm from, is the worst in G7. Your unemployment right now is 4.3%, historically low. Country where I'm from is 6.7. On average, Americans have more disposable income than housing prices. In my country, Canada, it looks like this. Nobody can afford a house.
We pay for electricity, and we pay for water, and we pay for natural gas to heat our homes.
Yeah, so does everybody else.
Every single month this winter, it was over $600.
So, move to somewhere warmer. You live in the United States, the best country on earth. You can move anywhere. Why are you somewhere freezing?
Is that because of the New York State budget? Where did that come from?
Ah, there it is. You're living in New York. What are you doing?
The experience of being a working class American is to just be squeezed for every single dollar that you have at every turn, and you're like, just wave your arm and you just run into another fee.
Look, I'm not saying the system we have now is good, but it is the way it is. If you're just an everyday citizen working a normal job, it is going to feel hard living in a state like New York. But again, you have 50 options of where to move. Go to Missouri, go to Tennessee, go to Kentucky, where the average detached house is like $85,000. Oh, but man, I don't want to live in St. Louis. St. Louis is shitty. It is shitty, but it's cheap and you can start building your wealth on the right foot rather than living in some dungy ass apartment in fucking Manhattan and being broke as shit for the rest of your life. Look, I'm from Canada and I had a business in Canada where I was being taxed 54%. Y'all in New York and California, you don't know shit about 54%. And I shut down that entire business, fired 13 great employees, moved thousands of miles from my family down to Florida because life just makes way more sense here. So if a Canadian like me who has to jump through all these friggin' loopholes to get my visa and be here legally, you from fucking Buffalo can move down to Florida and do the same thing. It'll cut down on that $400 heat bill. You don't need it.
Everybody in the USA is sick, and let me explain. So every time I come to the US, I notice that everybody is sick and everybody is taking medication for some condition. I always hear people say, oh, I have anxiety. Oh, I have ADD. I have OCD. I have allergies. I have this. I have that. Oh, I'm taking this. I'm taking that. I'm taking this medication. It's just completely normal here. Like, yeah, you know, of course there's people in Mexico that have depression, that have anxiety, but not to this level. You know, everybody has something. Growing up, I always thought it was weird how people say they have allergies to like pollen, to like air. Like in Mexico, people have allergies, yeah, but like I know like maybe 2 people in Mexico that have allergies. But over here, everybody has allergies. Like, how can you be allergic to the air, bro? Like, how can you be allergic to pollen? Come on. And don't even get me started on the OCD, the ADD, the ADHD, all these DDDs, all these conditions. Oh, yeah, I have this, I have this, I have that. And then not to mention all the kids that are over-medicated. Holy crap, I see little kids taking medicine, you know, for all these conditions. It's just insane. Oh, yeah, all these autism rates. It's just crazy. Why is everyone in the U.S. so sick? Can somebody please tell me? Why is everybody here so sick? Why does everybody have a condition? Why can't people just be normal? But anyways, guys, maybe I'm onto something, maybe I'm not. Let me know what you guys think.
I got a letter recently that my property taxes are going to go up $600 a year from now on. I got a letter that my homeowner's insurance is going up $60 a month. My propane company sent me a letter that my propane is going to double this year. They just came and filled up my tank. It was $1,000. That's crazy. Also, as a entrepreneur and business owner, I get my health insurance through the marketplace. So you have the Affordable Care Act. I pay $45 a month. They just informed me that if this bill passes and I lose my tax credit, I'm going to go from $45 a month to $660 a month for health insurance. I need to buy a new car and I can't because the cars have gotten more expensive and the interest rates have gotten so much more expensive. I can't find a reliable car that has the same monthly payment of $450 a month that I've been paying now for a new car. Not necessarily new, but new to me. Groceries are insane, and it feels like every day I get a new email from another subscription that I have, whether it's Netflix, my website subscription, everything's increasing in price. And I sit pretty much every day stressed about money, and yet I know that there are so many people in this country that are way worse off than me, and they're not making it, y'all. They're not making it. What hurts me the most is that there are so many women, especially, that just cannot afford to leave abusive homes and they have to stay in it because of this economy. So are we great again, America? Like, is this what you voted for? Meanwhile, they all sit there in DC, not feeling any of these pressures, not doing anything about it, not giving a shit about the American people. I have been extremely poor and I have been extremely wealthy. And I know from firsthand experience that the wealthy people don't notice it. And most people are pretty self-absorbed and aren't thinking about other people anyway. So we got to talk about this more. We got to raise hell. We have to let DC know that this is not acceptable. Regardless of your party, we have got to help each other.
Crazy things I've seen on TikTok today. Americans are so depressed and have such a poor outlook on the economy and our future that we are doom spending. People know that they're not going to be able to afford anything of substance in the near future, or maybe even the far future. So we are blowing money on things that make us feel happy and less stressed. And apparently this has experts alarmed. Well, we're alarmed that we'll never own a home. Netflix released a special called Leave the World Behind. It's about weaponized cyber attacks that force humans to realize that the world is collapsing. Today, there are reports of China initiating cyber attacks against our critical services and infiltrating our infrastructure. Did I mention that that special was produced by the Obamas? A dispute over $15,000 could reshape the American tax code, and this could potentially halt trillions in government revenue. A decision in favor of Moore versus the United States could render much of our tax code unconstitutional, which is good because it already is. However, what I've seen on TikTok is many people think that this is going to be really good for the everyday person like you or me. But if it happens, it's actually going to benefit the corporations and the wealthy far more than it would ever benefit us. New York rats are genetically adapted to living in New York City, and they are evolving to mimic human habits. And a new study has linked cognitive impairments to religious fundamentalism. Oh yeah, and nose picking could cause Alzheimer's. Picking your nose could disrupt the mucous membrane barrier, which could allow foreign bacteria into your brain.
We are just literally minutes away from the border to Canada as we flee the U.S.
Wait, what? You want to flee the United States for Canada? Well, from a Canadian who just moved out of Canada to America, Florida, let me show you what you're in for. First things first, you're going into a terrible economy. See, we just lost 84,000 jobs last month, the worst in years. And our unemployment rate just went up to 6.7%. Yours is at 4.4, historically low. Our housing prices compared to disposable income is off the charts. And the average house in the average city costs almost $1 million, and it looks like this. In your country, disposable income is actually more than house prices. Our GDP per capita is the worst in the G7. Yours is the best. Oh, and as of this month, we have the highest food inflation in the G7. But let's put that aside because I bet you love our prime minister, right? Yeah, the elitist investment banker that hasn't even lived in Canada for the past 10 years. Yeah, he's gonna fix your problems. Don't worry about it. I know. You're here for the free healthcare, right? But here's the thing about the free healthcare. It doesn't really work. You won't be able to find a doctor. You're probably gonna die in the emergency room. And they're gonna take 54% of your income to taxes. Look, you're fleeing the strongest economy on earth, but hey, no problem. We traded spots. See, I had a business in Canada renovating properties. I bought and sold over 150 properties, had 13 employees. I shut the whole thing down and restarted it in the US and got my visa for my entire family legally to live in the US. Now we pay way lower taxes, make way more money because the economy is 100 times bigger. And instead of gray skies for 8 months a year and snowy weather, it's 300 plus days of amazing sunshine. But don't worry about it. You're gonna love Canada.